We try to take as much of the brunt of the challenges in the design process off of our clients as possible.
Sure.
That is why we have the storage facilities that we have.
You do, yes.
And that is why we collect your merchandise. You don't have to be dealing with shipments.
Welcome back. Thank you again so much for watching us. We are on episode 4, which is so crazy, but we are back with Ashley Chotag from Ambiance Viera. Today we are talking about budgets, colors, and problem solving. So Ashley, welcome back.
Thank you. So happy to be here and dive into more.
Stay tuned for the rest of the episode. So Ashley, I've got quite a few questions for you today, actually.
Okay. Should I be nervous?
No, never.
Organic is key.
Organic is key.
Okay.
So, so I'm super excited to ask you. Obviously, we've worked together quite a bit. Like we alluded to podcast number 3, we're getting ready to do a big project together. So I'm super excited about that.
I'm so excited.
Yes. I have personally seen you transform your home. Oh my gosh, that you purchased, 2 years ago now?
2 years, yeah.
That's crazy.
It is.
And just the amount of love and sweat and all of that you poured into that is just gorgeous. So
thank you.
With that, I know that you are so intentional when you go into a space for a client. Mm-hmm. So how do you, I know we talked a little bit about expectations and stuff, but how do you go in and what's like the biggest thing the first thing that you do when you walk into a space? Like how do you make it, manage expectations for clients, talk about colors, cohesiveness, how do you start?
Yeah. The reason I love that question is because it captures a lot of my pain points.
Yes. Okay.
So we're starting with something a little bit hard.
Sure.
If a client is prepared for me to come for that initial consultation, I consider it a win. And
Sure.
being prepared for me is not just they're ready to meet me, they're ready to have their home transformed by our team. But for me, it's for them to know their budget.
Yes.
Because I can go,
key.
I can go into a space and I can see a bazillion opportunities. Mm-hmm. And I would say it's the job of a designer to make the space beautiful with the budget presented.
Absolutely.
So there are sometimes I complete a space that could have been more.
Sure.
And there's other times I have opportunity with budget to do everything I'd want to do in a space. But I would say 9 times out of 10, and that's a pretty crazy ratio.
Yeah, ratio.
Love it. Of people that are like, I don't know the budget.
Okay.
That is something I hear almost every time I meet someone.
So that's a great question. Or a great segue to a question that I have. So do you say, hey, option A, package, this is what this is what it would be. Option B, this is what that would be. And option C, like this is what you would budget for that? Or
yes. And sometimes it's not that straightforward because sometimes it's a blend of all of those at the end of the day. And as the project evolves, they're like, okay, let's go back and add that in. Or I see what you're saying. We should spend a little bit more there.
Sure. Okay.
So I feel like I'm constantly making adjustments with clients.
Yes.
And that's something about design that people don't see is the amount of communication that goes into nailing down the decisions.
Absolutely.
So typically I'll say, here's everything that I can do. This is what it would cost. Or we can do a simple styling package and you get new pillows and you can refresh your rug and maybe we do a new lighting fixture. But most people that are calling, it's because they want the full look.
They want the magazine worthy.
Yes.
They want their home to look like a magazine.
And sometimes I have to say it just like that. Listen, we can go all in and it's this much, or I can scale back and work with this budget, but there's going to have to be some compromise. And so it's never super cut and dry. I wish it was, but I try to present the options and then let them decide. And I find that more often than not, people's budgets are pushed not to the brink of they're frustrated, but they have to be pushed because everyone thinks you can do things really inexpensively. That's probably the biggest misconception is that everything's just super cheap. Sure. Because they've seen $24.99 pillows at Home Goods, so they're like, oh, clearly $500 will transform this room. So I mean, it's true. Yeah, and construction costs add up, and all of that. So usually the very first time I meet a client, we're talking about money. Okay. We're putting together a mock budget together.
I think it's so smart. I mean, same with me. Like, where are we? Where do you want to be? What do you want to list your house at? What's your purchase power? I get that.
Show me the bank
documents
showing me you have money. And actually, people have questioned why I asked for their merchandise funds to be sent over to us before I really hit the ground running with their design. It's the same thing. as in real estate. I want to make sure they have the purchase power to move forward with the design that we've discussed.
1,000%.
Because at that initial consult, we're talking about the scope of work. So once you show me the money, I know you really can do it. And then we can hit the ground running with purchasing and nailing down selections.
Absolutely.
Instead of me presenting you all these amazing options that I've redone 4 times for you to only realize you don't have the money. So it's a tricky balance.
Absolutely. But I think that just being transparent and open from the get-go is key. And I like to say that to my clients as well. Like, I need to be transparent. I understand that finances are a big deal, and we are very, this is a confidential conversation. This information goes nowhere, but I also need to know, so we're all on the same page, and I know how to work for you. Same like you're saying for your clients. Like, I need to know where we're at so I can best serve you as well.
For sure. I know. And it's hard because it's vulnerable.
It is.
In fact, both of our industries deal with people's 2 major assets, their homes and their money.
And their finances, yes. Yeah. And that's huge. Yeah. That's huge. So
we have more parallels every time we talk.
I know.
of just, what it's like to work with people and to help them through really big things with their home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, next question for you.
Okay.
Color choices and working, I guess really it's like a broad question. So I want to hear, color choices. I want to hear how you work in small spaces. I want to hear how you help, just people be more productive in their homes as well, especially because we have some people who work from home. So what does that look like for you? Do you do a lot of office spaces, like in-home office spaces? I know your home office space is absolutely gorgeous at your house. So tell me more about that.
So do you want to talk about colors or small spaces or function? First.
All of it. You pick.
All right. Well, let's start with colors since clearly I'm representing color today.
Yes.
This was totally debated, but it's one of my favorite colors, and I just wanted to wear it today.
You look great and bright, so rock it, girl.
Thank you. So I love so many styles in homes, and I love a variety of colors in decor. Yes. There are ones that repeatedly show up in our designs, and it's mostly because clients are requesting those colors.
Sure.
And there is a whole psychology of colors. I won't use our time today to get into all of them, but there's a lot of truth to color psychology, and that is
which
why
I want to learn more about. So we'll get to that.
It's very interesting.
Okay.
Yes, and actually, I have more fun with the psychology of colors with clothing than I do in homes.
Okay.
Because there is something to that as well.
Okay.
But blues and greens are just known to be calming, tranquil, very serene colors.
Okay.
So I would say they're our number 1 requested color accent.
Sure.
And so do I suggest colors for clients? Sometimes I do. I've had some clients, in fact, I know one, she's awesome. She's like, I want no color in my house, only neutrals. You can.
I love a good neutral palette too, though.
Sandies, whites, creams, lots of texture, but no accent color. Okay. And her home turned out beautiful. I love it, and I can appreciate that.
Yes.
Now, I've been asked, remember my favorite project I told you about, which was the pop art with all the colors, and it was so fabulous.
Yes.
It looks like it could be a Palm Springs hotel. And I loved that. And then I also like the coastal, light blues, the darker blues. I love navy. So I usually let my client guide me.
Sure.
And then I will try to maximize the opportunity within their realm.
Yes.
Or take them a step further and try to get them to add in another pattern or color that I think is complementary. Okay. But usually I always ask my clients to give me inspiration.
Okay.
If they can't describe their style and they can't tell me what they want and how to do a space, which I'm not looking for them to do, at least they can show me a picture and say, this is what I like.
Sure.
Or I don't want the room to have this kind of furniture, but I love the way it feels.
Okay.
And I'm huge on the way a space feels. Huge. And you can't really share that with photos and videos as much as being in the space. So when a client was like, this feels like me, this feels amazing, I'm like, oh, best compliment ever.
And I love that. And just, talking about parallels, when you walk into a home and it feels like home for you, So I get that.
There's
I appreciate
something to
that
it.
So much. Yes.
Yeah. We finished a home last week and the husband's like, I don't like pillows on my bed. And I was like, well, how do you want me to decorate it?
Yeah.
Bedding can only go so far.
Yes.
But he's like, I just don't like a lot of fuss when I'm going to get into bed. Sure. And they gave me their color palette for their room. And honestly, with all of their guidelines, I was so proud of the results. And they walked in and he's like, and his wife, they're like, it feels like us. This
so
is
good.
truly like our space. And
That's
it was
the best compliment you can get.
It really is. And it was clearly speaking to them, and they couldn't wait to enjoy it and live in it. First time they've ever had a designed primary bedroom. So it was a reminder that I am working for my clients, and I want to give them what they're going to love.
And I think that's one thing I absolutely love and appreciate about you is that you're so versatile. You can go into a Mediterranean home. You can go into a coastal home. You can go to a beachside home. You can go into I've seen you do rentals over at Disney and do big murals and everything. So I've seen you do it all. And I think that you really listen to your client and you know how to execute just flawlessly. So I absolutely love that.
That is so nice. And I truly put a lot of work and effort into that part of it, because it's not just about creating beautiful spaces. This is about creating custom spaces for the client.
Yes. I say custom and functional.
Yes.
Functionality is so key.
Yes. And I know you were asking about offices and function.
Yes.
So we can definitely talk about that. So when I'm interviewing a new client, not only are we talking about budget, which is not the fun part, but I'm asking them, how do you want to use this space? Are there 5 of you? Do you like to watch movies on Friday night? Is this a sitting room? Do you allow food in here? Do you want to?
That's a good question. Great question.
Do you want to recline? Are there any textures you don't like? How do you feel about fabrics? Do you like leather? So I do a lot of data gathering, because I want to make sure that when I leave that space and get paid, I get paid on install day.
Yes.
That they look at each detail.
Yes.
And they're like, not only is it beautiful and I just love it and it feels so good, but that it's functioning for them for a good long time. That is my goal. Absolutely. So that is definitely true in offices. Offices are actually challenging spaces, I feel like.
I can imagine.
Because it's your work zone. So you need it to feel good. You need the view to be right. And sometimes the view makes the desk angle really awkward.
Yes.
Then a lot of people are just very particular about the artwork that's in that room, that it needs to be something that brings productivity. Not brings, whatever that word is. It's making them be productive. Yes.
I know what you're saying.
I had a complete blank right there, but you just want it to be a space that's really working for them while they're working. And then there's ergonomics, which is a huge part of design. It is all the function and comfort of the furniture, and how a space is used is easy to get in and out of your desk, and what is this chair, and how far do you want to recline, and what fabrics are you using, and so many details in every selection. And that's really truly what's behind the cost too. There's hours put into finding the right item. And if there's 100 items in a space, 100's a little much. But I'm just saying, you spend a lot of time making sure everything is perfect.
Agreed.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes in it. A lot behind the scenes.
Yeah. And I also try to help clients see areas in their home that can be used functionally that maybe aren't. Really, my office is not an office in my house.
No, it's not. But it's perfect.
Thank you. It was set up as a dining room when we first saw our home, and I was like, wait a second. This ain't flowing. Yeah. This needs to change. So it's an open air office. It doesn't have doors, but it feels right. It feels big and open, and it feels like I'm productive because I can see out my windows. I'm huge on natural light. Yes. So I try to see that in clients' homes too. Hey, there's opportunity right here.
And I love that. And I talk to clients about that all the time. Listen, I know that the way that the house is currently set up, it's being used as this, but let's bring in a professional to really help us capture what could be done here, and here. Yeah. So I love that you bring that up. So great point.
And if they're willing to go under construction, there's also ways to have better function and even have value adds to their home price. So,
absolutely. Great point.
Try to think of it all,
which is not easy.
It's not, but I find that I have almost a responsibility to be thinking for them about their home.
Which is why people love you, because you do think ahead.
That's so sweet. So, thank you.
Yes. All right. So last question for today.
Okay.
So how do you handle when there are bumps in the road? Because although we would love to say that everything runs smoothly with buying and selling a home and also designing a home, how do you handle that? whether it be construction bumps, whether it be, out of stock issues, whether it be, delayed shipments, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. How do you handle that?
Yes. So you're absolutely right. That is part of the process. We try to take as much of the brunt of the challenges in the design process off of our clients as possible. Sure. That is why we have the storage facilities that we have.
You do, yes.
And that is why we collect your merchandise. You don't have to be dealing with shipments, things showing up at your door, unpackaging boxes, and dealing with the boatloads of trash.
Yes.
I actually put a story up this week. I was like, it's a lot of trash, people.
I've seen that, yes.
Yeah. And that's the things that you don't think about before you start redoing an area in your home with new furnishings and everything. It's a lot of stuff. So I try to handle all the logistics. So I'm doing the ordering, managing and tracking all of those orders, knowing when they're received, making sure that they're in perfect condition when they arrive, and that they're stored perfectly for your project once the time comes to install it. But
I feel like you need a cape. I feel like you're Superwoman when it comes to this. Go ahead, continue.
I was like, where's she headed with this? Oh, thank you. It's a lot of work in when you start thinking about the logistics of it all. And that is why we do it, because we are trying to focus more and more, and we're growing every day and trying to make our process more convenient for clients.
That's
and
incredible.
To make it feel like a white glove service. It is. It's a custom, really lovely service, and people should feel pampered.
Absolutely.
I really believe that.
I agree. And I think you do a great job with that too.
Thank you. Yeah, and every detail of the installation and hanging artwork and hanging drapery and styling and removing of all of your trash, all of those things are just small ways that we can make sure your project is done seamlessly and you just walk into a finished space. But bumps in the road are part of that, which means things go out of stock, things get delayed. Like you kind of mentioned another one that resonated with me, but things do happen. And so my answer to that is always communication. Yes. It is so important. So I have a text line that comes to our cell phones.
Okay.
And our team gets it, and it basically has all of our clients' numbers so that they can text us. So we feel like we can have a quick answer at any point. We also do a lot of business via email. But I usually have a really close personal relationship with any project we're working on. And so we text, and I'll say, hey, we've just run into a bump in the road. This is going to get delayed 4 weeks. Would you like me to move forward with waiting for it, and we'll adjust your install day by 4 weeks? Or would you like us to send you some alternatives? And then my client will answer, and we'll go that way. So I just really like to give them the reins when things happen.
Absolutely.
And, sometimes we'll find something that we had budgeted a less amount for. Hey, this is more expensive. It's going to look amazing. Would you like to up your budget by this much? So that's really, I do so much communicating with clients through the process. Absolutely. It's just making sure that they're aware and that we're responding to whatever crisis it is with how they want us to handle it. And I feel like that's key. When they feel respected, they know that it's their home and their money, and we're trying to manage it well.
Absolutely.
That goes a long way.
Yes, it does. Great customer service, as always.
We try.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for today, and thank you for, that short little snippet. And I'm so excited to talk about color psychology next time.
Ooh,
I know.
It's so good.
So I think that really can help, future sellers and buyers too on tips and tricks to how that works. But
what's your favorite color?
Oh gosh.
My favorite next episode.
Next episode. Sounds good. So I want to know what it means first.
Yeah, it's so funny.
But yes, thank you so much for joining. Yes. As always, it's such a pleasure, and we always have so much fun. So thank you.
And I always learn too. So
thank you.
Thanks for everything.
Yes. All right.